With me, guys, how bad is Miraculous Ladybug season 6? Because I have seen 4 videos on my YouTube page about rewriting Miraculous Ladybug. So like, how bad has it been? So I actually want to animate my intro, but I can't draw well yet. So this is a placeholder. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Mex here, and today I'm gonna do something a little bit different. As opposed to just talking about media that I like, I want to talk about media that I have a complicated relationship with that I think could be done better. So when it comes to Miraculous, I actually had the script written for this video back in like 2023. And you're probably thinking to yourself, if you had this written in 2023, why are you only filming this video in 2025? So here's what basically happened. In 2023, I saw a clip of season 5, and it was about, like, you know, I think it was Marionette and Adrian, and like they still hadn't confessed their feelings. And I was in shock because I've been watching this show since I was in the 6th grade. Like, I have distinct memories of watching episodes of Miraculous on my tablet while doing my math homework while my grandma was in the living room watching Ellen DeGeneres. That was a very specific memory, but like that's what came to mind. Like, I have been a fan of Miraculous for a very long time. Like, what the fuck do y'all know about like typing in Miraculous Ladybug fandubs and like watching whole voice fan fictions? Like, it was probably the happiest time of my life, honest to God. But I was kind of shocked. I was like, I'm sorry, we're on season 5. This show has been going on for, when did it come out? Like it had to have been at least 2014. So it's been almost a decade since the show came out, and you're telling me that Adrian and Marionette still don't know each other's identities? So yeah, that's what kind of prompted me to make the script for this video, and I watched the entire season. I put all my stuff of what I would rewrite. So I'm basically going to do it by seasons, so you're probably not going to see season 2 for a while, but yeah, I did it. I'm going to do it by seasons. And when I had written the script, I had went on winter break for university, and I did record the video. But if you watch some of my earlier videos, like my Ninjago video, which I'm gonna have to redo because the audio fucking sucks on that video, but if you do watch my older videos, you'll hear how bad the audio is. And that's because I was using my laptop camera. Like, you know the little cameras that you can put on your, yeah, that's what I was using. So the audio was shit. And I saw how shitty the audio was, and I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to reshoot this. And that's when I decided to start shooting on my phone instead. The thing is, I never got back to filming the video. Ever. And then I started university. Still never got back to doing it. Then I went on summer break, got my summer job for that summer break, and I was like, I still haven't decided to reshoot this video. So now here I am, reshooting the video now that everybody and their mother is making a video about rewriting Miraculous Ladybug. So when I decided to rewrite Miraculous Ladybug, I knew 2 things. 2 main changes that I wanted to make to Miraculous that I know for a fact that the fandom's not going to like. But my thing is, I think that I have every right to make these changes because these things that they establish within the lore, they end up not being important later on. Like, yeah, in the first season it's important, but then after the first season they kind of get a little lax with it, and even to the point where it's like they kind of forget like that's an important thing that they're supposed to do. So the first main change that I made that I think is very controversial is I made it where Marionette doesn't have a crush on Adrian in the beginning. In fact, she hates his guts. And I know people will be like, wait, what? And it's like, yeah. And I'm going to get into it more when I do the rest of this video. But like, yeah, one change that I wanted to make with Marionette is having her and Adrian. Like, Adrian is a bit indifferent. Like, he doesn't like hate her, but he doesn't have like a big crush on her. Like, he's not in love with her. And then when it comes to Marionette just fucking hates the guy. She just hates the guy. Like, she doesn't like him. She finds him annoying. And it could have been like a little, like, you know, rivals to lovers type thing. And I'll get into more reasons as to why I kind of wanted to like keep it where it's like Marionette more so develops a crush on Adrian. It's not right out the gate where she's like an obsessive fangirl. Like, no, she starts to develop a relationship and a crush to Adrian. And so you're probably thinking to yourself, well, how would that happen? And it's because of the second change that y'all are not gonna like for me at all. They know each other's identities. Yeah, that's one of the biggest changes that I think I've made that's gonna really piss people off. Like, that one already got a few people mad and probably clicked off the video. This one, everyone's booing me in the comments. They're leaving mean comments telling me how I'm stupid, but I'm so serious. When I was watching Miraculous, I always thought that it was stupid. I always thought it was stupid that they never knew each other's identities. And they always try to frame it as like, we can't know each other's identities, chat, because if we did, the world's gonna fucking explode. And here's the thing, later on in the other seasons, they don't really keep this whole like secret identities promise. Like, they keep revealing each other's identities to other people over and over and over again. There's so many different people who know that Marionette is Ladybug, except for Chat Noir, the guy who literally worked right next to her. Like, what the fuck do you mean? And then I also found it frustrating because it's like, wouldn't it make more sense to know your secret identities? Like, or at the very least for one of you to know your secret identities? Like, for example, while the other Justice League don't exactly know Bruce's identity, Superman at the very least knows Batman's identity. I think they even changed that in later issues where I think a few more Justice League members do know Batman's identity. Because guess what? If an emergency situation happens and I can't contact you, how the fuck else am I supposed to contact you? Because that's what always fries me. These guys are supposed to be helping Paris. What happens if Marionette needs to go on a trip and she can't be there? She's got to make sure that she tells Chat Noir. Like, what if it was an emergency? Like, for example, what if Marionette had appendicitis, right? What would she do? What would she genuinely do if she had appendicitis and she doesn't have Chat Noir's number to be like, well, hey, I kind of am in surgery, so I'm not going to be able to do any superhero work for the time being. And I know people are going to say, well, what about Tiki? I don't know about that one. I don't know about sending Tiki out every 5 seconds. And like, what about school trips and stuff like that? How are they organizing that type of thing? Like, yeah, they go to the same school, but what if Adrian has something that he's got to do? What's he gonna do? Like, what if he doesn't even realize he's got to do it until the last one, and it's like, shit, I did not get a chance to tell her this. And then the only way they're able to communicate with each other, besides like, you know, using their cell phones when they're in their civilian clothing, is by using their, you know, actual weapons and devices, which we have seen within the show can only work if the other person is also transformed. So if Chat Noir is transformed and is trying to contact her, but Marionette isn't transformed, then she's not gonna get the fucking message. You see how, in a sense, that them not knowing each other's identities kind of fucks them up? And again, I know people won't really like that, but like, I do think it would have been an interesting way of like seeing their relationship develop if they did in fact know each other's identities. Like, I know a lot of people's whole thing is like, well, the whole appeal to the show is that they don't know each other's identities, and that's what makes you want to root for them. Y'all, they've been dragging this shit for far too long. 10 years, 6 seasons, multiple movies, multiple specials. At some point or another, they have to reveal each other's identities. This is getting absurd. And before we get into like the first episode of my rewrite, I just gotta say this. I've always hated the poly square, okay? I've always hated the love square of Miraculous. And this, y'all are gonna boo me for this, but I've always fucking hated it. Because here's the thing. They're the same fucking person. Like, I've never understood the love square because they're like, that's the same nigga. That is the exact same nigga. He's just in latex. Okay? He's just in leather. They're the same people. They're just in a jumpsuit. That's all that it is. They're just in spandex suits. That's all that it fucking is. Because, let's be completely honest, we see Marionette act like Ladybug in extreme situations. Like when you gotta lock in and buckle in, we have seen Marionette take a leadership role even when she doesn't have the costume on. We've seen that time and time again. We've seen Adrian act a lot like Chat Noir when he's around people that he's comfortable with. He even acts that way sometimes with Marionette when he wants to have some fun. So like, they're just expressing more prominent parts of their already established personalities. Like, it ain't something like brand new. They just get a bit more cocky because they got a mask on. But that's about it. Same niggas. The same fucking niggas. Okay, so don't mind me every so often looking down because I gotta look at my laptop. I don't really have like a proper desk. So, episode 1, Stormy Weather. Now, I'm not gonna get too much into the whole like the organizational order of all the episodes. I just did this based off how the episodes were presented to me on the website that I use, because I'm not trying to get into that fucking headache. I really am not trying to get into that fucking headache of how they air the episodes. So for the first one, since Marionette does not have a crush on Adrian, she doesn't obsess about getting a picture with him like she did in the main episode, and is more focused on Manon. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't speak French. I don't come from one of the French-speaking islands. Now, since this is still the first episode, there still hasn't been like a lot of missions that I can say we can build up Adrian and Mary up. So when Adrian smiles at her, she just nods and walks away. Like, yeah, she acknowledges him, but it's like, she doesn't really give a fuck. Alia sees this and does notice that Mary is a bit icy with him, and she does like bring it up too. And I know people will say like, oh, this is like you, like, you know, changing. I don't think I'm changing Marionette's personality, more so I'm just changing the way she interacts with one character, because we've definitely seen Marionette act like a bit of a bitch. Like, this is not our first time seeing Marionette act a bit bitchy, or at the very least just act a bit like aloof and kind of cold towards another character. Look at how she treats fucking, what the fuck is that ugly ass bitch's name? I forgot. Lila. It's Lila, right? Liar the liar. But yeah, we do see her treat people like kind of bitchy. So like her treating Chat Noir kind of like this, I think I'm cooking. One of you guys can make a fanfic out of my ideas. You know, I'm giving you permission, because I don't really have the time for this. I don't really have the time to make another fanfic right now. And she just like, Alia's like, hey, why do you treat Adrian like that? And she just like, it's just the way he acts, you know. After that, you know, we see how because she doesn't say it out loud, but it's like she doesn't like the way how Adrian acts at school, and then how he acts as Chat Noir, because it's like, okay, why is he acting all different like that? Now, while they work, they do have some playful banter, and as of now, Mari isn't always answering, but she does kind of play along when she's ready to do it. And I don't really change the battles or anything. Like, they're still gonna keep the same. Like, I think they work well, and there's nothing much that you really need to change, because them knowing each other's identities and not knowing them ain't really doing much. And then after that battle, Adrian is the one who talks to Mari and wants to hang out more so that they can work better together, and she agrees, and she'll try to be like less icy towards him. Like, I feel like this would be a great way of like showing, you know, their little dynamic. You know, she might be a little icy towards him, but it kind of does show that like she's not opposed to working with him. The flowers of a blooming relationship. That's how I see it personally. Now, episode 2 is the bubbler. So in this episode, it's Adrian's birthday, and unlike in the original, where Marionette is obsessed with getting Adrian a gift and getting it to him with the changes, she doesn't really consider getting him a gift and just wants him to like have a happier birthday. Marionette is still a bit of a pushover in this one, but Adrian thinks it's cute how she acts different when she's a civilian. Like, she still acts like a pushover, and I think that's like what would make it interesting, them knowing each other's identities. Like, Adrian sees her as Ladybug, acting cool, confident, and secure, and then they go to school the next day and she's getting bullied by this blonde bitch. Like, it's interesting dichotomy where it's like I kind of have to wonder what's going through his head. It's like, wow, this is crazy. How do you act like such a different person? So we have like Marionette asking Adrian, like, well, more so telling him like happy birthday, and she kind of realizes like he looks a bit like bummed out and sad. So she decides to just make him like that little scarf that we do see happen in episode 2. When the Akuma attacks and Mari sees Adrian partying with the bubbler and their classmates who are being held hostage, there's, you know, she gets upset about that obviously and tells him off as she goes to deal with it. You know, he transforms and Marionette forgets to sign off on the gift. And when she sees him wear it and he tells her that it was his dad, she just keeps quiet about it. Like, she doesn't like say anything. Like, you know, Tiki's on her little shoulder like, you're not gonna say anything? And she's like, no, he seems like happy this way. So she's willing to like, and it's what would show like her self-sacrificing happening over and over again, because she could take that credit and she doesn't. And we do see her do that in like the later seasons too. I think in season 5 where she literally like, I don't know the full context of it. Like, there's a lot of stuff from the later seasons that I don't really know about. I just know something based off of the clips that I've seen. I don't know everything there is to know, so please don't spoil me too harshly. But like, I see a lot of people talk about how Adrian is a senti monster, which is like, what? But yeah, don't spoil me too much. when we get to season 2 and the other seasons that I'm rewriting for, we're gonna talk about it, hopefully. But episode 3, Timebreaker. So like in the original episode, it's Marionette's parents' anniversary. They have a cake and Mari has to give it to a customer, and at the restaurant we meet Alex. And like, I didn't know this at the time. I don't know if this is just how the French spell it, but like, Alex is spelled with an I, not an E. Is this like how French people say it? Like, I'm wondering if that's just like how French people spell Alex. Is it? Can someone please tell me? Like, I'm genuinely curious right now. Like, I was like looking it up and I was like, are her parents just trying to be different, or is that genuinely how people in Paris spell Alex? Because it wouldn't be too out there. Anyway, I don't feel like there's much to really change in this episode, because this episode doesn't rely heavily on, like, you know, Marionette and Adrian knowing each other's identities so much. Like, it's more so just like a regular, like, you know, villain of the day, villain of the week type formula. So next up is the fair, which I do think is a bit more fascinating or interesting to get into. So Mari in this episode, I'm just going to call her Mari for short, you know, Marionette Mari. So she dropped her history book as Ladybug, and her school is the only one that uses this book. And like, Adrian is like a little on her ass about it too. He's like, you dropped your history book, and you know we're the only school that uses that one specific textbook. Like, he just makes a little joke at it, and she's just like, just shut up. And then he sees that it's her best friend who's like trying to figure it out, and he's just like, you're so fucked. I mean, he doesn't say you're so fucked, but like, he definitely is like, okay, you've messed up big time. Good luck to that. But generally, I'm kind of surprised. Is that a common thing in France for like, or is it just because this school is like a private school? I genuinely do wonder if Marionette is on a scholarship or something, because it seems like a lot of the people that go to school here are like rich, like really rich. Like, Adrian's father is a famous fashion designer. The daughter of the French mayor is there as well. So it's like, yeah, I guess it is a bit of a rich school. I won't lie. In this type of for this type of thing, I do kind of want to make it more so where it's like Adrian has more of a crush on Marionette. He's not weird about it, but it's like, you know how he was always like so in love with Ladybug, like he had such a big crush on Ladybug? Yeah. We're basically like kind of switching the roles, except Marionette acts a little bit more bitchy. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say like bitchy, but like she does act like different. Now, Mr. Pigeon actually does have some correlation, and it's like where I want to start to introduce why Marionette might be a bit standoffish when it comes to Adrian. In this episode, there's a contest that's being held for Adrian's father, and basically you have to design like a little derby hat, and if you do a good enough design, Adrian is going to model it. Now, in the original, Marionette just wants him to model it because she has a huge crush on him. But if I were to rewrite this, me personally, I would have her more so just wanting to impress Adrian's father. Because how I see it, Marionette is a half Asian girl living in Paris who wants to try and get into the fashion industry. If you don't know anything about the fashion industry is probably one of the hardest industries to get into. Like, it is on par with like the entertainment industry, where it's like you need to know people in high places to get anywhere within that industry. And if you manage to do that without any of that, that's really impressive. So yeah, I could kind of see why Marionette might start to have like that weird sort of dislike to Adrian, because it's like, Adrian's a bit of a nepo baby. Like, let's be completely honest with ourselves. Like, he is a nepo baby. Like, he probably started modeling when he was a fucking child. You know, his father is one of the most famous fashion designers in all of Paris. His mother is literally not French, like what, English royalty? She's a type of royalty. So it's like, yeah, he definitely has some friends in some high up places. So I could kind of see why Marionette like kind of sees like that competition there, because it's like he literally got a spot on the team before she even had a chance, like, you know, submit anything. So it's just her constantly trying to, like, you know, keep it going. And I do feel like it could be interesting where they're like kind of fighting, and she sees that like Adrian is like allergic to like feathers, and she's like says to herself, I gotta rework the feathers on that hat. And he's just like, I didn't know you like fashion. You know, it could be them like learning little things about each other, and it's like, and she's just like, yeah, I do kind of want to be a fashion designer. And he's like, Oh, I didn't know that. So you want me to model your hat? You want to make a sweet gift for your sweet kitty? And then she just kind of leaps off because he annoyed her. But other than that, those are the only main changes that I would make. In the original plot of Lady Wi-Fi, it has a lot to do with the fact, like, they don't know each other's identities. So for example, Chloe decides to pretend to be Ladybug, and she goes around saying that, oh, I'm Ladybug, when she's not fucking Ladybug. And of course, because Adrian doesn't know, like, you know, because Adrian does not know Marionette's identity, he's all like, oh, shoot, is it really Chloe? But then he kind of thinks to himself, it can't be Chloe because it's Chloe. He knows Chloe from, like, childhood. He knows what she can be. But, you know, at the time, Lady Wi-Fi is all y'all who's trying to figure out, you know, Ladybug's identity. So the whole episode is literally just her doing a whole bunch of shit to, like, figure out her identity. And she gets very close to doing it. Like, she gets super close to figuring out her identity. And it's not until the last minute they're able to do some stuff and, like, it doesn't end up happening. And there's, like, this really sweet scene where, like, she hides in a closet and she's like, listen, we can never know each other's identities. But the closet door doesn't fully close. And so Adrian has a chance to sneak a peek and see her identity, but decides to close the door and be like, you know what, I'm gonna respect her decision and not do anything. In this vlog, we'll have to miss out on that scene since they do know each other's identities. I would like to have, like, this sweet little moment where, like, Marionette is leaving the hotel because that's where most of the fight happened, and Adrian comes in, like, running with, like, a cookie in his hand, and he, like, hands it to her, and he's like, well, you know, this is for, like, Tiki, you know, I know that she prefers, like, sweet stuff. Do you want to, like, hang out sometime? And not in, like, a romantic way, more in a, like, a, let's get to know each other a little better, to, like, make sure we can save Paris as best as we can. And this is, like, a time where Marionette kind of lets her guard down with him and is like, okay, we'll see about it. Also, I do want to have, like, the reason, I'll get into it when we get into the Dark Cupid episode, but I do want it to correlate with that one scene that we see in, like, I think, what, season 4, where we find out why Marionette gets very obsessive when it comes to crushes. Okay, so this episode, the illustrator is also a really good starting point. So Nathan in this episode is hinted at having a crush on Marionette. And this is where I kind of want to start sowing in the seeds about Marionette and, like, her aversion to crushes, or at the very least she's very, like, standoffish when it comes to people confessing their feelings for her. Like, when she sees Chloe, because Nathaniel is after Chloe in this episode, like most villains in the series are, she's all like, she sees, like, because what happened is that she took the photo or the drawing that Nathan made and was, like, posting it around the school and, like, showing it off, and she still has that photo, well, that drawing in her room, and Marionette sees it, gets pissed off and leaves. And Adrian asks her, he's like, why are you all pissed off? Like, I know Chloe has done you wrong, but, like, you don't normally act like that. And she's just like, I really don't want to talk about it. So then when she finds out that Nathan has, like, a crush on her, she's just kind of, like, a bit peeved off about it, but knows that they could make a plan for it. So she just has Chat Noir going with it, and he makes jokes about, like, what, you're not excited for your little date? You're not excited for your crush? And she's just like, I just don't like crushes. And, you know, once the plan gets found out, and that could be, like, a little running gag whenever, because, like, there's a lot of admirers for, like, not just Marionette, but for Ladybug as well. And we could just make that a running gag of her just saying, I really hate crushes. Like, simple things like that. And again, I know people will say, oh, that's just you changing her personality. And it's like, I mean, Marionette does show that she doesn't like certain things. So it's like, am I? Maybe. But I don't really care. So that's where I would kind of, like, leave it, with Marionette having, like, this little gag of saying that this is why she hates crushes, and everyone kind of wondering, okay, well, what exactly happened that you don't like crushes? Now, I skipped an episode because, like, there's not a whole lot to change, so we're gonna go into episode 10, the Horrificator. In that episode, a big plot point is that they're doing a little film, and basically they don't, Chloe. Okay, so my mom kind of came back from her party earlier than expected, so it's the following day. So let's go back to where I was talking about the Horrificator. Now, more so why Marionette doesn't want Chloe to kiss Adrian isn't so much as like a, oh, I have a crush on him and I don't want to see him kiss anyone else type of thing. It's more so I just don't want Chloe getting her fucking way type of thing. Like, you know, let that bitch learn that she can't always get her way when it comes to everything. I would really say that's about it when it comes to it. Like, again, there's not like a whole lot to change again. Also, interesting thing when I was watching this episode, there were a lot of nursery rhymes that they could have picked for this episode, but they made up their own nursery rhyme, which sucks fucking ass. Like, I don't know if it just sounds better in French, but like the English translation is like all wonky. Like, it sounds like really, really bad. Like, it was a really, really bad, like, I'll put the rhyme in, but it's a really bad one. Like, you know, you had Frere Jacques and Alouette up, and yet y'all picked that.
Wolf, smelly wolf, trapped in the stinky hut.
Smelly wolf, I'm gonna kick your smelly wolf, stinky breath and slimy drool. Smelly wolf, you're just a sick.
Okay, when it comes to Dark Cupid, it's hard to watch Dark Cupid now when you remember what Kim's bitch ass did to Marionette. It's like when you see that clip, and I'm not gonna say anything if you're like watching this and you've never watched Miraculous, like, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna say he did some fuck ass shit. And believe me, and I think you should believe me, I think I'm a very believable person. So if I'm saying that it's something fuck ass, it's fuck ass. But I don't know, should I say it just so you can understand how bad it truly is? Or should I just save this for when we get into the later seasons? I think I'm going to save it until it's the later seasons. So for this episode, both Mari and Adrian are a bit like conflicted. Marionette, because she doesn't really know how she fully feels the same about Adrian. It's like, now that we're about like 10 episodes in, it's like, okay, maybe she's starting to realize that she might be developing feelings for Adrian, but it's like, are they feelings, or is it just because he's my coworker? Like, you know, is it like that? And Adrian knows that he has it down bad for Marionette, but doesn't really know if Marionette is gonna reciprocate it, because again, we have that running gag with her talking about how she doesn't like crushes, or how crushes are like not like the best. So he's kind of thinking to himself like, damn, if she's talking that way now, I can only imagine if like I was to like confess my feelings. So he decides to tell her the whole Dark Cupid thing, but then he gets infected and it becomes a whole dilemma. So she still is on that whole I hate crushes bullshit. Now, the kiss, it still happens. The kiss still happens, and everything is a bit awkward, because instead of like, you know, Marionette being like kind of heartless, she makes like this whole poem, and Tiki kind of teases her about it, but she ignores it, and she purposefully doesn't sign it. Like before, it was like an accidental thing where Marionette didn't sign the poem, but at this time she does purposefully not sign it. And Adrian gets the poem and starts to think like, oh, I got a chance, you know, like just the seeds of a relationship are developing, and they're not even in the ground. Now, this is the origin episodes, which is both episode 11 and 12, so I just combined them into one to just make things easier. If you don't really know a lot about like the whole Miraculous lore, basically we have we have Master Fu. I'm so dead ass. That's really his name. Master Fu is in charge of the Miraculouses, and not just the Ladybug Miraculous and the Cat Miraculous, but he's responsible for all the other ones. Like, there are multiple different Miraculouses. So the Ladybug one is the one for creation, and then the Cat one is for destruction. And those are the most powerful ones. Like, those are the main two. And basically every other Miraculous is kind of like based off of that first one. These are basically just like concepts put into like little accessories that you can put on your body, basically. That's basically what they are. So he decided at that point that he had to like find a new successor for the Ladybug Miraculous and the Cat Miraculous. So he was like, damn, who should be the successor for these Miraculouses? So he goes out one day, and a little girl, Marionette, is like going out. She's about to start her first day of high school, and he falls into the street. No, I don't think it's that he fell into the street. I think she dropped something, or he dropped something, and then she like picked it up for him, and he was just like, you're so sweet, and then gives her that as a gift. And I think the other one was that he was about to go into traffic, and Adrian was the one to stop him from like, you know, going into traffic. So that's how he ended up getting the Cat one. I got them two mixed up, but yeah, that's how they got their Miraculouses. They used them, we see the Akuma be used for the first time, where, you know, he does the fly away little butterfly and evil eyes them. Is that like a necessary part of the process, or does he just do that to be flamboyant? I genuinely can't fucking tell. And like, if anyone who doesn't know this, but I feel like if you're watching this, you do. You know, Hawkmoth is Adrian's father. Anyone who's watching this who didn't know that is a bit shocked, but like, yeah. Now, they kind of didn't release their identities until the next episode. So like episode 11, they kind of keep their identities a secret. They don't say anything. It's like, okay, we're not going to say a single damn thing about our identities until the next episode, where they decide, okay, I guess it does kind of make sense for us to reveal our identities. When Adrian first goes to school, because if you didn't know, Adrian was homeschooled his entire life, and it's only now that he's in high school that he's finally going to like an actual like real life school with other people in it. And Chloe puts gum on Marionette's seat. Now, Chloe has been bullying Marionette for ages. Like, it's been years. Like, we have actively heard Marionette say that Chloe has been bullying her since elementary. That's a really long time. Like, that's actually like insane to think about. But yeah, Chloe has been bullying her for a long time. So she kind of knows that Adrian is, if not friends with Chloe, at the very least they're very close to one another or know each other like very well. So guilty by association. When she sees the gum there and Adrian is trying to like take the gum off the seat, she immediately assumes that, oh, Adrian is good friends with Chloe, so he's trying to prank her too. And that's what kind of causes that bit of animosity that I was talking about from the beginning, because of the Origins episodes. Like, yeah, she still has that animosity towards him because it's like he's friends, or at the very least is very closely associated with the girl who's been tormenting her for most of her fucking childhood. So yeah, can't exactly blame her for not trusting the guy fully. But I do think this is a good way for them to start to like develop that little relationship, especially during that one scene where he like hands her his umbrella when it's raining, and he's just like, listen, I'm not that bad of a guy, you know, you just have the wrong idea, and explains himself. I do think it's really funny that he hands her the umbrella, because Marionette's like home is like right next to the school. Like, it's a very sweet moment, but it gets kind of ruined when you think about the fact that like this girl lives right next to the school. Like, she's literally like a 2-minute walk from the school. Now for Copycat, I kind of have to change like an entire subplot, because in the original subplot, Marionette accidentally records a message and sends it to Adrian, and then it's basically just her trying to like get Adrian's phone to delete it off his phone. And I don't know if you know this, but she basically like went to school when he was doing his extra. Marionette is a full-on stalker, okay? This girl like knows this man's schedule like to heart, like knows it better than this man probably, because it's actually a little scary how she knows exactly when he's doing practice, exactly when he gets out of practice, exactly which locker he puts his phone and stuff in. That's some weirdo shit. That's really fucking weird. But she knows all of that and has to like go and like delete the message for her, from her to him. And then the issue that comes with that is that she ends up missing a statue that's being made in her honor because of like, you know, saving Paris so many times. And it's like, I would have preferred it a little bit more if it just like was just Marionette trying to like juggle being a superhero with schoolwork. Like, she's trying to like complete her schoolwork, and she gets so preoccupied with trying to complete her schoolwork she forgets about the statue unveiling. And it's not until like Adrian hits her up and is like, hey, you missed the statue unveiling, that she's like, oh crap, I did. And the whole thing with Copycat is that the person who made the statue is obsessed with like Ladybug. My thing is, I think that was a really weird sub point to make, because it's like Marionette is like what, 14, 15 years old, and it seems like the guy who made the statue is like in his 20s. Now granted, the guy who made the statue, the sculptor, he doesn't know that Ladybug is a underage girl, and I can't blame him for not thinking that, because yeah, I would think that the person who's been saving Paris like for as many times as Ladybug has would be a fully grown woman. But still, it's a pretty weird decision on like the creator's part to have a sculptor have like a crush on a character that's like 14. Again, he doesn't know that she's 14, but still, it's a little weird of a decision to make as like a writer. But yeah, let's just scrap that whole subplot about her confessing her feelings and just make it like her struggling to juggle schoolwork with superhero work. Adrian shows him like being a little bit jealous, and again with the whole I hate crushes gag, which again, we're not getting too into that either. Princess Fragrance isn't really going to take any time because it's really simple. I would just change Master Fu trying to pretend that like he's not like the keeper of the Miraculouses, because it's like, dude, if the Kwame can get sick and you're the only one who can like make them healthy again, why are you trying to like hide this fucking information and just be like, yeah, I'm a vet? What the fuck kind of animal does Kwame look like? Kwame doesn't even look like a fucking insect. She looks like something. We don't really know what, but like she looks like something. Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense to like try and pretend, oh, I don't know anything about the Miraculouses, because like Tiki straight up says it, like, I know a place where I can get better. So obviously you have some, like, it makes no sense for him to keep this secret. And it makes no sense, like, it makes no sense again when you remember in the lore that it's like, yeah, they never used to like keep this a secret. Like, they actively used to know each other's identities, and he just stopped doing it because of like some, I forgot what the specific reason was, but it was like bullshit either way. So I kind of skipped like a lot more episodes because I don't know, I guess I'll, for the next time I do this, I'll combine season 2 and 3 together, so like we can like make it a bit faster, because it's like I only did it because I already had this thing done for like season 1, so might as well, you know, I might as well have just gotten it done and out of the way instead of just watching season 2 and then adding on to the script. Like, nah, we'll just, the next time I do this whole rewrite thing, I'm gonna add in season 2 and 3 together. But we're gonna just talk about episode 25, Kung Food, and episode 26, Volpina. This episode is, I honestly find it very interesting, because it's like, this episode kind of acknowledges like the racism that does happen in like Paris. Like, a lot of people like don't really talk about how Europe is still rather racist, and it's like whenever you try to like bring up, hey, Europe, you can be a little bit racist sometimes. Like, we're not saying that you're like, but like you have to acknowledge that you've done some like bad things in other countries, and that when you talk about people who come from other countries to live in your countries, you can be kind of racist. But no, a lot of Europeans don't want to really hear that shit. And again, I mean Europeans as in like every other European country. I'm not just talking about like France. A lot of European countries do not like to acknowledge that they have a racist history, that they've done racist things, and they continue to perpetuate racist stereotypes throughout like their cultures or how they talk about certain issues. Like, ask them how they talk about immigration and it gets real racist real fucking quick. Like, I do kind of like appreciate how they did try and like go into how, you know, Marionette being like half Asian is probably affecting her living in Paris. It's like, that also brings them to more perspective Chloe's bullying, because Marionette is, well, yeah, there are like, you know, you have Nino and Alia who might be like, I don't know, like maybe Middle Eastern, could be Middle Eastern, could be Indian. I wouldn't say black, not because of like their skin tone, it's just like they just, you know, they don't like, I don't think that they're black. I've never thought of Alia as being black. Like, I've always seen her as like being like Latina, if not Latina, like some type of like from India or something. I've never seen her as black. I don't know why I've never really seen her as being black. I've just never seen Alia as being like a black girl. Like, because we do see like, you know, other characters who are obviously like, yeah, that's a black guy. In this episode, Marionette's uncle visits from like, he visits from China. And I found it very interesting because her uncle only knows how to speak Chinese and knows very little, I guess in this context, knows very little French. So it's like, it's an interesting dynamic because like Marionette doesn't know anything about like Cantonese and can't speak Cantonese and wants to try and bond with her uncle. And it shows like how, you know, in a way to assimilate more with Parisian culture, she kind of had to like let go of another part of her culture, or her mom just kind of chose not to have her learn Cantonese just to like save her from the bullying and stuff. And I think it's even more interesting is because Adrian is in this episode, and Adrian does speak Cantonese. So it makes it even more, like, I think, like a gut punch of, like, seeing someone who isn't a part of your culture, not like in a rude way, but like who isn't a part of your culture, who's able to like speak your language and talk to your uncle when you yourself can't. Like, as someone who's like half Puerto Rican, I feel that way all the time. Like, whenever I see, like, you know, people who can speak Spanish fluently, and I'm just here half Puerto Rican who like never really learned how to speak Spanish because my dad decided to never teach me. But I do feel like this would have been a really good way of like having Marionette and Adrian's relationship grow even more. And then we have Chloe being like low-key racist to her uncle, which again kind of shows a little bit more about Alia's bullying towards Marionette, because if that's how she's treating her uncle on a game show that's being like kind of aired, well, no, not aired, but it's like he's like trying to do like a thing for a job, and so everyone else liked the soup, but Chloe did not like the soup or just didn't want to try the soup at all. And then she kept asking him to make her sushi, and Adrian tells her straight up like, hey, sushi is Japanese, he's not Japanese. So that definitely brings into question like why Chloe probably bullies Marionette. I mean, I don't know if anyone wants to like acknowledge that, but it's like I think that gives you a pretty telltale sign of like why she was so adamant about bullying Marionette. The one thing I really didn't like about this episode, though, is how they kind of base his, like, akumatized design. Like, to me, it felt a bit, like, stereotypical. Yeah, really stereotypical. Like, for example, the outfit that they have him in looks very much based off of, like, the Dragon Ball Z outfit, which is, like, an anime. And it's like, yeah, if we wanted to get really into it, Dragon Ball Z is based off of Journey to the West, which is Chinese literature, but still it's a bit of a strange choice, not to mention the fact that every single one of his like attacks when it comes to food weren't even based off of Chinese dishes. They were based off of like mostly French dishes and Italian dishes. It's like, you know, if you're gonna have this guy be an akumatized villain and make all of his like moves based off of food, you could at least make it the food based off of his actual culture. Like, it's a little strange that you decide to pick foods that aren't a part of his culture. Like, yeah, sure, he probably knows how to make them, but it's like, I don't know. And then also the name that they pick is also kind of strange. Kung Fu. Maybe I'm just a friend that's too woke. If anything, if I would change up his villain, I would make him more like, let's say, like, make him like the celestial chef or something like that, like something that's more based off of like Chinese stuff, instead of like going the same stereotypical route of like kung fu and like that type of thing. And maybe make his like outfit a bit more Chinese inspired instead of just like the basing it off of drag. I mean, that's just me. Again, that's just me. Because how the hell are you gonna make this dude like a chef and have him do like very chef-based attacks, and then he's like dressed up like a kung fu master, or at the very least like dressed up like, you know, for Dragon Ball Z? Like, what the hell are we doing? Now in this episode we get introduced to that damn bitch Lila, and in this episode Adrian finds a mysterious book that his father has had hidden. So he's like trying to look through the book, and Plague, we can have Plague like say how he has memories of the book, but he doesn't like fully remember everything from it. He's like, you know, I do have memories of this book, but I can't place my finger on like what exactly was in it. So Adrian is like looking through the book, and he has a book, and we can have Kiki spot the book and be like, hey, I know what that book is. I don't know how he has that book, but he shouldn't have that book. We gotta take that book back and give it to like Master Fu. So we can have Marionette try and like take the book and have Adrian not really notice it until like the end. Maybe. I think that would work well, like not having him notice until like the last minute, and wondering like what he did with the book. Did he drop the book? And what happened exactly to his book? And he's just constantly wondering like what happened to the book, like how did he lose it? And we could have that be like a little build up later on where he finds the book again and is like, hey, did you know where I put this book? And then it's like a whole thing of like, can he like trust Marionette, and why would Marionette be like lying to him? When it comes to Lila, I was having a bit of trouble with that, but I decided to make it more so because in that episode, while yes, Marionette was upset with Lila for like just telling bold-faced lies, she was also a little jealous too because she started to flirt with Adrian. Again, with the changes that I made being that that Marionette no longer has like that obsessive crush on Adrian. We can instead kind of make it where Marionette doesn't like the fact that Lila is constantly lying because she basically just entered the school, right? And she's just telling these bold-faced lies that could be easily proven as false. And everyone is loving her and wants to be friends with her. But Marionette has been going to the school for literal ages. Like, she has been growing up with some of these kids that she's in high school with. So it's like she knows some of these people for a very long time. And it's only now recently that they've been in like a better place where they seem to be a bit closer with each other. And how quickly it seems like these people who she's known for a long time kind of like turn on her to believe this like other Randa. And that could be more so like hinting towards her issues. Anyway, that's really it for this video. I just kind of wanted to chime in because I saw everyone else getting in on it. So I decided I might as well get in on it, huh? You know, get my little money. Now, if you guys are interested, I can do another video like this where I do season 2 and 3. If you're not interested in it, then you're not interested in it. Anyway, please like and subscribe, because if you do and we make it to 10,000 subscribers, I will cosplay any character that I choose and have you guys vote on to cosplay for when I write my book and have to do my author's photo. That's gonna be really fun if you guys subscribe. I'm honestly giving you guys a really big chance because I procrastinate a lot. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, and please, you know, come back next time. Bye.